lot to talk about. We've been hitting all different topics, including next up here, all about housing. We've seen mortgage rates drop, we've seen refinancing moving higher, but affordability is such an issue. How are we doing in the supply availability? So let's get the pro in here. Chen Zhao is with us, head of economics research at Redfin. Chen, thank you so much for being here. We love to talk about the housing market. It's an exciting topic, but we know that it has slowed. There have been so many hurdles. Where do we stand now?
So thanks so much for having me on today, first of all. What we see in housing is that the market is largely still frozen. So sales are still at that bottom that we've seen for the past 3 years. We're also seeing that housing turnover is at historic lows right now. So, what the challenges that we're facing are the same challenges that we've had for the last 3 years, which are, affordability and supply. Things have gotten a little bit better, but we still have a ways to go.
What is moving? What is working?
So what we're seeing right now as we're heading into 2026 is that mortgage rates have dropped a little. So mortgage rates are a little bit lower. We've also seen that over the course of this year, home price growth really softened. So that means now home prices are actually growing slower than wages. That means that buyers who are trying to get in, they're getting a little bit of a break on affordability, not a lot, but they're getting a little bit. But what we haven't seen so far is that demand has not really caught up with these better, more favorable conditions yet. So hopefully as we're moving into 2026, we'll see that buyers are starting to notice that, it's gotten a little bit better, a little bit more friendlier in the housing market. There's also more inventory from sellers as the lock-in effect has eased a bit. And hopefully we'll see that demand pick up. And especially with this backdrop, which is that, the labor market has softened, but hopefully that's stabilizing now.
It's interesting because, for example, in Eastern Long Island, where, we had homes and such, there were homes that were $300,000-$400,000. And in a few years, 5 years, those homes went to $700,000-$800,000 or over $1 million now. It's the same homes, that really used to be $300,000-$400,000. So when we talk about affordability, oh yeah, the price came down $50,000, but it's never going back to those old prices, right?
No, that's the really tough part about the housing market is that I think a lot of people are experiencing that sticker shock because they remember those prices from 2019, even 2020, and they also remember those mortgage rates from back then too. So unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that we're not going to get those ultra low mortgage rates again. Where prices are also not going to drop 20%, 30%. Nothing like that is going to happen because the fundamentals of the housing market just won't allow for that. But what we do know is that over time is basically everyone's friend here. Over time, people's incomes are increasing. And what that allows for is that wages will slowly catch up to where home prices are and where mortgage rates realistically will be for the longer period of time.
What's going on in the Bay Area and what story does it tell?
So what we've seen in the Bay Area is that is one market that's really doing particularly well right now. I think that they're benefiting from a combination of two things. One is the AI boom. Obviously, you have a lot of folks who are coming into these jobs where they're being paid very well. So that's fueling demand in the Bay Area. But they're also benefiting from this return to the office trend. So we do see that pending sales are up double digits, about 17% year over year in the Bay Area. And the San Francisco area is also a place where in the last few years, home prices haven't really grown very much. So even though, yes, it's a very expensive place, it actually got a little bit more affordable, if you can believe it. So, but what we are seeing is that area is kind of booming right now.
And what about the East Coast? I mean, I'm starting to hear a lot about people leaving New York City again. They did that during COVID. Is this, do you have any fundamentals behind that? Is that real?
So, the housing is always local, and the differences that we're seeing between different regions in the country is especially stark right now. So the Northeast especially, and parts of the Midwest are really where you have markets that are the strongest, like the biggest concentration of strong markets right now, where a lot of times sellers actually still have that upper hand. So the Northeast is benefiting from that return to office that we're seeing in San Francisco. In terms of the story about people fleeing New York City potentially because of the election last night, I don't think that there's really any data to back that up yet right now. So maybe that's more to come, but at least what we see right now is that those markets are very strong.
We think about the American dream. Everybody should own a home, and it's a beautiful thing to own a home and have kids and have grandkids and all that. It's at the same time, we always hear about, should I rent or should I buy? You have any advice for folks, because things are pretty pricey? What do you tell them?
So, this question has been really interesting these last 3 years because renting got very cheap relative to buying. With where mortgage rates were and where home prices were, it was actually the case that rent prices weren't really growing very much these last few years. So renting made a lot of sense. I think a lot of folks, though, do want to move on with their lives and get into a home. And the question that I get very often is, how do I really time this? Do I wait another year? Do I wait 6 months? The reality of it is that it's really impossible to time the housing market, especially something like mortgage rates, because everything that's really knowable about the future is already priced into what we see today. So my advice really is think about your own personal circumstances. If you really need to be in a particular neighborhood, maybe because of where the schools are, if you can find a house that's right for your family, I would jump on it. And if you're trying to think about mortgage rates, you can always refinance later.
Just quickly, lower or higher? Are mortgage rates lower or higher in a year or two?
Slightly lower.
All right, Chen Zhao, Head of Economics Research at Redfin. Thank you so much for being with us, Chen. Thank you. Great topic there.